Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. Such a simple yet effective logo. Every time you hear it, it catches your attention. No! Very, such a great publisher logo. With that said, this is Booster Box Buster here with another video. Today, we're going to be reviewing the video game Anodyne for the Nintendo Switch Entertainment System. Now, Anodyne is a classic 16-bit action adventure game in the style of Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, mixed in with some Illusions of Gaia and Soul Blazer, with some Earthbound humor and some RPG Maker horror video game elements. Now, if that sounds like a game that you might be interested in, then let's continue. So first off, you're going to notice that we are in this very cool hub world. This hub world reminds me a lot of the Illusion of Gaia power-up selection screen, and I love Illusions of Gaia, so that is a great thing. And then you go down here, you see this rock. This rock is very reminiscent of the rocks from Legend of Zelda series, but not rocks. Rocks don't do that. What do rocks not do? We stumbled into the middle of a conversation and we'll never know the answer to it. I just love that little quirky humor. Anodyne is very interesting because it follows the main character Young through his subconscious, and that can lead to very many interesting locations and enemy types that you may experience throughout the game. Now, one thing to note, this game has a limited item selection, which makes it very RPG light in that sense, but you can switch your weapon between your regular, an extended version, a widened version, or a very secret fourth weapon that you get once you beat the game, and I don't want to spoil it because it leads to some great post-game content. With that said, in this game you have the ability to jump with the B button, which will help you out immensely trying to jump over some gaps in the floor. Unfortunately, you do not have this ability at the start. You do have to get a pair of jumping shoes later on. But trust me, well worth it once you get them. The A button will do an attack, which I will show in a little bit, and the X will bring up your item menu. Now in this you have, very simple, you got the map, which all the little dots will show you where you're able to go. That's self-explanatory. The blue spot on each map, as you can see glowing right here, red and blue, that will show you where a teleporter is, which will take you to the Nexus, or to a continuation of an area if areas connect to one another later in the game. So you have items, which will... you can basically change the extent of your attack item. You got cards, which are really cool stat cards that are shown about enemies throughout the game, and other non-playable characters, just like NPCs. You got your save, which is nice. You could save anywhere. However, if you save anywhere, I believe you go back to the last checkpoint, but you keep everything that you had up to that checkpoint. You just have to re-get to where you were previously. Then you have configuration, and the question mark, which is random items you can collect later on. And when I mean random, I mean, I don't think they have anything to do with the game. Like, they don't help you or hurt you at all. They're just little extra Easter eggs that the developer put in the game. That's kind of cool. As you can tell at the top, you got these little like red dashes. That is your health bar. Each one represents what would essentially be a Legend of Zelda heart, so that's kind of cool. And then you do have a constant map up top, which is also reminiscent of the classic Legend of Zelda games to kind of always constantly keep you going in the right direction if you ever get lost. So that's kind of cool. Now, one thing that I love about this game is its quirky sense of humor. As you've probably already seen in the item menu, your main weapon in this game, you may think it might be a sword, maybe some sort of whip, maybe some sort of pew-pew type weapon. No. Your choice of weapon in this game is a broom, an everyday wicker broom. That's it. Nothing special about this broom other than it could kill almost any enemy in your path. Almost any enemy. Like, for instance, these little jelly guys, which are very reminiscent of another. Actually, pretty much every RPG has these type of enemies, so I can't blame them for reusing stock enemies that everybody uses. Other than that, the enemy design is actually pretty fair. One thing to note about this game, if you fall down a hole, you don't die. You don't lose any health, which is can work in your advantage later on when you're working on puzzles. I will say that. That's kind of a cool little feature. And one good to know when you're going into the game, because when you fall, you think you're going to take damage, but you don't. Unlike Legend of Zelda, which will damage you if you take damage, or if you fall. Another thing to note, you see these little clouds of poof here? They don't hurt you. You don't crash through the floor. All you do is you do nothing. But you can sweep them with your broom and place them in another spot. Basically, think of like that little dust bunny that gets stuck in the wicker or your broom, and then when you go to dust something else, it falls out and it's like, oh, I just dusted that area, now I gotta dust it again. Think of these little dust clouds as that, although infinitely more helpful if water is involved. Keep that in mind. Another cool thing, you get these little teleporters which will teleport you to distant lands, which is always a cool little feature. Alright. So with that said, I will say, along with the humor of this game, you will also get some very dark RPG horror type themes that you would expect from like a fan-made game. Or like a creepypasta almost, and when you get to the town, the black and white town that has the like ghost in it, you'll understand what I mean. That has some very creepy things. You actually have to... I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say that you may not be the good guy in that town. It has some very creepy themes there. The hotel is kind of creepy with the eye manager. Some of the bosses in this game is really creepy. And oh, don't even get me started with the whirlpool boss. The whole whirlpool world is just, ooh. Definitely not for the faint of heart if you are very sensitive to those type of topics of death and maybe assisted suicide in a way. If you are very sensitive to those topics and don't want to deal with them, this game is probably not for you. But if you enjoy it, but if you could handle those themes, I definitely recommend it. Please remember this game is rated M on the eShop, so it has some very heavy themes that go with it, along with its quirky sense of humor. Like, for instance, later on in the game, you will run into a bipedal cat, like a cat person, and he's so adorable, and you gotta rescue his friend. And it's just so mean what the person who caught him wanted to do. And when you realize the reason, it's like, man, this game deals with layers of emotions. It's so. I don't want to spoil anything because you gotta experience the story for yourself, but let's just say it deals with some of the themes of bullying, uh, retaliation of the bullying, and a very potentially violent matter. But thankfully, you come in and rescue the day right at the end. It deals with people looking up to you as a hero. It deals with re- uh, basically repetitive depression, and this game goes through the feels. As much humor as it packs into it with the broom, the circus land, and everything else, it also packs a lot of heavy emotional impact as well. Like I said, for every moment of humor, it also packs a moment of uh, emotion. So please keep that in mind if you're purchasing this game. You're going to get emotions, both laughing and possibly like real life, like, man, this is heavy type stuff. I know that's strange coming from a 16-bit game, but that is true. Other things I want to say, controls are very simple. I told you about them. Once you get to learn them, you're good to go. Very, very simple controls. I applaud it for that. The music in this game ranges from out of place and eerie to incredible. And when I mean incredible, I want to show you what I mean. Where is the option that I'm looking for? Right here. Okay. That's what I wanted. There is one place in particular that has such soaring, uplifting, like, oh yeah, this is amazing music. If I can find it, I definitely want to share that with you. Hopefully it's not written of the copy style, because if it isn't, I would love to share it with you. Is this it? No, that's not it. Is that it? No, I don't think so. Is that it? I think this is it. Yes! This music is so uplifting. Honestly, I could listen to this music for a while and be like, oh, this is such relaxing music. I love it. But please note, this is the exception, not the rule. A lot of the music in this game is more eerie, more creepypasta style, maybe a little more adventure-y tone. I just love the uplifting nature of that tone. It's so amazing. But like I said, it ranges from just eerie to fantastic in that mountain. You just look. I mean, I just imagine I'm playing Illusion of Gaia, looking over the top of the mountain, and just brings back so many good memories. Um, but yeah, so music's great for the most part. Controls are dead simple to learn. Graphics for this game are that classic 16-bit style, and I love them, so that's perfectly fine with me. The puzzles in this game range from very easy to kind of tough. There are a couple of tough puzzles. A couple times I got stumped for a while, but eventually I figured it out. I did not have to Google anything except for some cryptic post-game stuff, which is annoying when you're trying to find those question mark items, but it's not part of the main game, so that's fine. Let me think if there's anything else I want to make sure to mention. The game's story is all over the place, and I love it. It feels very Earthboundy, very just out there, and I like that. Like I said, it's going through a subconscious of this person named Young, and it definitely feels like you're going through like not a real world. Like it's disconnected in ways, but it's also intertwined in ways. It feels very dreamy, and that's what it's supposed to be, and I like that. I like that it stays to the style that it wants to be. And with that said, this game is definitely worth picking up if you enjoy the Legend of Zelda style games. You got some adventure, some action. You got some creepy music, which if you enjoy a little bit of the scarier, more intense style games, you're going to like that. You got the little puzzle element, which once again, very nice that they do that. Honestly, this game all around is a very fun, very interactive, very enjoyable adventure, and honestly, I'm surprised not many people are talking about this game. This game deserves a much wider audience. Legend of Zelda has its audience. If you like Legend of Zelda, but a little more creepy, a little more humor, and uh, just a little more out there, you would probably enjoy this game a lot. Like I said, it takes Legend of Zelda, combines it with Illusions of Gaia, combines it with uh, Earthbound, combines it with RPG Maker horror type elements, and you got this game in a nutshell. I love it. Thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough. It's a good 8 to 10 hour game, depending on if you want to do the post game content or not. And that, in my opinion, is well worth the money that you would put on this game. With that said, my official score for this game stands at a very solid 9 out of 10. Some of the downsides, some music feels out of place. The difficulty, in my opinion, is on the light side. It's not. Most of the bosses in this game, with the exception of the final boss, are pretty easy. And the enemies themselves are pretty easy. There's no level up system. It's purely you pretty much just gain health and gain a little bit stronger weapon, and that's about it. But that's fine. Honestly, this game is a great game just for the story itself, which is all over the place. To explore the weird locations, I enjoyed it thoroughly. So if this sounds like the game for you, I ask you to give this game a try. It's definitely worth picking up, especially if you can find it on sale. I think I picked it up for like $5. That's $5 well spent on a great game. Final verdict, 9 out of 10. This has been Boosterbox Buster with a review of the video game Anodyne for the Nintendo Switch Entertainment System. And I just want to say, before I log off, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more content like this and Boosterbox unboxings in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out other video game reviews I did or other content on this channel, you should see some videos popping up right about now. With all that said, this has been Boosterbox Buster with a review for the video game Anodyne. If you like Legend of Zelda, with some creepy and funny elements added, you'll enjoy this game. Boosterbox Buster, signing out.